So you want to host an airship provided to you by SteamChest and MadRaven Productions.
Hi guys, very happy to be on your channel today.
Thank you for being here.
We're here at Allcon in Dallas.
2018.
Yeah, this is a fun one. We get to do this one every year as we're both Texas based. I'm the creative director for MadRaven Productions. It is a small run consulting and small run press firm for starting designers, illustrators, and writers in the gaming market. So whereas you regularly go out and get yourself a low-level agent to break into writing novels and such, you can also come out and retain a service like mine that'll break you into designing games and get you in touch with people like Hasbro and Mattel and Milton Bradley after we've ran you through some test games, ran you through proper play testing and editing and all that stuff, which is not actually, believe it or not, a known service. A lot of people don't know how to play test and edit and retain illustrators for new games and get products put into boxes.
Really?
It's not the easiest thing actually to know. You actually do have to know some phone calls to make. And so we help people make those phone calls and figure out if that's something they really want to do. Even that's just a side project where we all have day jobs where we do boring stuff on the side.
Insurance salesman.
That's right.
Fire extinguisher guy.
Fire inspector. Yeah, almost everybody who's in Steampunk professionally, if they're honest, they all have a day job. We know rock stars that work cubicle phone jobs during the day. These guys when they're in their full kit, they look like they're 9 feet tall and they do music videos with fireworks in the background. Their music is incredible, but during the day they're working phone support somewhere. It keeps us blue collar.
Keeps you humble.
The steampunk community in Texas is very, very blue collar. They're all working steampunks. We have very few pure artist steampunks, and the ones who are purely surviving on their art have earned that income on their art because their art is of such superior grade. We're very lucky to have Jessie Arts here this weekend as our maker guest. She's got a booth over in the vendor hall, and she's been doing some making panels this weekend. And she is one of the few people I know in the area that lives exclusively off of her leather working and her prop building. And it was a long, hard road for her to get there. I mean, you're talking about something like 6 or 7 years of dedicated apprenticeship and working in a craft.
Oh man, Jesse, now that you mentioned her.
All right, so how to host an airship?
So you want to become an airship? Okay,
Yeah.
So this happens a lot in steampunk, especially when steampunk had its big boom about 5 years ago. We saw this bursting of
Everyone was a captain.
Well, yeah, everyone wanted to be an airship. Everyone wanted to be an airship captain, and being an airship captain meant a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so here's the deal. The airship construct, the idea of a ship's crew, is the easiest theatrical construct around to organize a group of fans of the steampunk genre into a functioning road crew, which is all it is. It's like your squad if you're a cosplayer. You ever notice cosplayer girls roll about 6 deep? Okay, they do. That's how many mom can squeeze in the station wagon. There's 6 14 to 18-year-old girls, and they're all doing steampunk now, and one of them's the captain, and the other one's the engineer. It's an easy open-end concept because there's no hard canon for steampunk. You can make whatever you want. You can be very, very fairy-like, or you can be very stoic-like. You can be have a horror twist. You're not going to break any rules because there aren't any rules in steampunk.
There are actually very few groups I've seen that actually have a uniform that they all actually roll with.
Yeah.
So is it very naval like those?
It's very mariner.
Yeah.
Because there's no
the airship pirate influence in the genre cannot be ignored. It's the elephant in the room. There's a whole rock bands dedicated to the idea of airship pirates. Okay, we get it. But on the other hand, the genre is also so goofy and so influenced by mad science and other things that a lot of groups come together, base themselves around unique concepts. There was a group out of Kansas City that called themselves a drill ship. They were an airship. Their ship was a gigantic bore that bore through the earth.
Yeah.
And they were essentially a charity group. They came together and ran a charity table out of the Kansas City area, and did fundraisers for children's charities and things like that. That's one way that steampunks organize themselves, because there is no, first of all, there is no National Steampunk Association. It does not exist.
Guilds maybe?
Local Facebook groups is really how.
Yeah. We all talk to each other a lot. Like, organization is not our thing. We've tried. We really have. Like, a National Steampunk Association's been attempted like 3 or 4 times, and we never can get everybody on board. It's too bad, because there's lots of really, really cool, talented people in the national steampunk scene in like just about every state across the country, but it's never really going to, it's never going to happen. There's never going to be like a National Steampunk Association with official chapters and you know, national support for your endeavor. If you're going to do something in steampunk, you better be a self-starter, because it's a self-starter community. So whatever you're going to do, if you're just having a costume and showing up to the con is not enough for you, and you want to go to the next level in steampunk, and you want to do something, you're going to do it in one of a few ways. You're either going to be a group of friends that adopt a group of personas so that you can goof off with each other and have fun at the con. That's basic A. These guys usually come in groups of 4 to 6. They're usually college friends or high school friends. This is your typical cosplay squad.
Yeah.
A lot of these crews pop up about 4 years ago.
That's when I really came with it. Yeah, the Coyote's Fortune, the one I started with, and the one my wife got me into with it. It's very much that way. We had a xenobiologist on board, so we were always looking for the newest weird thing. We had a hunter, we had me, we had my wife, who was one of the monsters he found, and so it was just all really wacko and weird and generally entertaining, and so we really enjoyed ourselves, and that's really where it's key. You have to enjoy yourself. The one thing I remember we got kind of broke the group up a little bit was when we decided to vend or not to vend.
That's true. There comes a point where people like, and this, unfortunately, this was almost like an auto program for a while, that people thought that as they progressed to steampunks, like as they made a really good kit, and as they met more people in the steampunk community, they were somehow obligated to become a vendor of some type.
Yeah.
They couldn't just make cool stuff and wear it. And we had to break people of that. Like, guys like, man, I'd really like to go next level with my steampunk, but I just don't really feel like being a vendor. I was like, man, you don't have to be a vendor to make cool stuff and wear it to the con. And they were like, really? All the guys with the really super tight stuff are all vendors. I'm like, well, that's just because they make
They got into doing the leatherwork themselves and saw that they could do it.
Well, they make such cool stuff that other people keep bugging you and offering you money to make stuff for them. Eventually, you're going to be like, you know, you're kind of a victim of your own success. If you're like really good at making excellent, cool-looking steampunk armor and you wear it to stuff, even just on your own person, people are going to come up to you and be like, hey, what would it cost for me to get like something like that made for me?
Or how much do you want for that?
How much do you want for that piece? How much do you want for that arm piece? How much do you want for that chest piece?
And you start kind of looking at your own gear.
I've had people try to buy my hat off of my head.
Yeah.
No sale.
No sale.
No sale. This is
No sale.
pretty much anything else but the hat now.
Not the hat. I will sell you this coat.
So, what's
Let
next?
me take my phone out of it because I lost it yesterday.
Did you find it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, I just found it this morning, like 45 minutes ago.
Okay.
So it can just be a fun thing that you do with your friends, just like adopting, like we're going to do all the DC superheroes, we're going to do this, or we're going to do that group cosplay. We're going to do a steampunk group cosplay, and our group cosplay is going to be an airship group.
Well, what we're seeing now actually is a lot of associations or like groups come up that aren't airships.
That's true.
Which is kind of a new
thing. We're going to have to change the name of this panel, because back in the day, everybody was naming themselves airship this and airship that and airship this.
Yeah.
And now it's not that big of a deal. People want to be trains and they want
Land vehicles, walking vehicles. Was it Louisiana Swamp Boat?
So yeah, Louisiana Swamp Boat. My ship is a paddle wheeler. It's a gambling. It's a riverboat casino. My ship is a riverboat casino, and it's steampunk.
6-gun widow.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea.
I miss that shit.
That's really cool. That's a really cool thing. You come to the point where if you want to do you want to just stay a social group? You just want to do steampunk for fun, or do you actually want to take a professional swing at it? Because if you are making items in steampunk and you are getting a few commissions here and there, a few $100s, and you have invented some item or some wearable that is unique to your table, that you're the only person that makes this thing, okay, and people are coming to you to get it, like a particular style of watch, or gloves, or glasses wear,
Flowers.
some kind of hat decor. Hat decor. If you can break a new fashion in hat decor,
You will be God for 2 years.
If you can get a new hat decor fad going in steampunk, and get it sold exclusively off your table. If everybody at the convention's like, look at this neat thing on my hat, I got it from him, and everybody runs over and buys one, you can sell like 30 of them. That is a great year for you in steampunk.
Yeah, there's a guy who was selling wire stuff.
Yeah, that
masks.
the wire mask things.
That
Oh,
was great.
those are beautiful. But for a while there, people were doing animal skulls in their goggles, and those things sold like hotcakes. If you did any kind of like animal skull decor. Oh yeah, we have fads. We have fads, and so you get to a point where you make something, and you craft something, or you even provide basic steampunk supplies like goggles and hats to your budding young and growing steampunk population, and people who just think it's fun to dress up in because it's cool looking, and you think, hey, maybe I could do this professionally, maybe I could be a vendor, or maybe I can provide my service or whatever it is that I think I could bring to the table and do it in steampunk and make a little money on the side in it, or maybe even do it as an income base. Number one, don't ever become a convention vendor and hope to have an income base. That's not just steampunk, that's comic books, that's Star Wars, that's
You pretty much, it
that's
pays
fidget
for you to go have more fun later.
yeah,
Much like as in the casino.
yeah, exactly.
One time you may make $2,000.
Number one, convention vending to begin with is a very risky proposition.
We have a panel on that.
Yeah, we do.
No one ever books it.
You know, no one ever books. Don't be a vendor. That's a great panel, by the way. We have some horror stories.
We're here to crush your creeps.
If you're going, there are multiple things you can do to actually do something at the next level in steampunk to try to make a contribution, both commercial and non-commercial. Non-commercial, let's start with those. You can start an area steampunk association.
You can.
Like at your local library. You can go down to your local library and you can arrange a room for free or for a small cost, usually like less than $50. And you can start your, whatever the name of your municipality is, your city or your town. You can start, your town's name, Steampunk Society, and hold a meeting once every 2 months. And after you do that for like 6 months, you can qualify and get enough people together to like file for nonprofit status with the state of Texas, which can be done on the website. Texas is one of the easiest states to do this, by the way, to start a nonprofit. It is actually pretty painless.
Or actually just to become your own
Well,
business.
I've done it, to become your own business. I've done it in like 3 different states now. Like, let me tell you, this last go around with Texas, I was like stunned. I was like, wow.
So you want to spend money in Texas?
Yeah, they are very encouraging you to start a business in Texas, or anything, start a nonprofit in Texas. But I'm like, let's go, let's get this done. So you can start a little nonprofit, or even a nonprofit. You don't even have to mess with legal status. You can just be the guys that meet at the library. We had a group here in Dallas who did that for like 3 years and had like over 100 members. The
Yeah.
Steampunk Elimination Society met at the library month after month after month after month after month after month. They had guest speakers. We had crafty build days where we came together and made our own goggles. They had Easter egg steampunk hunts for the kids, where all the eggs had like ears and stuff on them, and when they popped them open, they had like steampunk candies inside, like tea flavored candies and stuff like that. And tea. I love that tea candy stuff.
I need to find that.
I love that tea candy stuff so much. Oh, it's so addictive. Every time they show up at the steampunk conventions, I just eat the little tea candies like this. The little sweet tea ones. Oh, I love them so much. Oh, it's so good. But that group met for months and months and months, and they were very much just a loose affiliation of enthusiasts who met they had one lady who made sure to book the library every month, and every month somebody else did something cool, and that was that month's activity. And it was either teaching everybody how to make something, or they bring in a friend who was an author and who like written a steampunk book. And there are dozens and dozens of these little like library and public space based steampunk groups all across the United States, and thank God for them, because they really are the backbone of the genre. They really are. And they usually work hand in hand with literacy programs. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with Steampunk and your public library to encourage kids to read and to encourage kids to become more literate. This is a literacy-based, a literature-based genre after all.
Kind of need to read a little bit.
Well, I mean, there's so much book. There's so much book people in
Technically, you can
Steampunk.
get away with just watching Wild Wild
Yeah.
West.
You can watch a few movies. You can watch Wild Wild West over and over on loop a few times. Giant Mechanical Spider, I got it. But if you run around and visit steampunk events, you're going to hear names of like Sherry Priest. You're going to hear about series of books from everything from stuff from teens all the way up to for mature readers, and I mean really mature readers material in steampunk. We have that end of the pond too. And all of those people at one time was just a regular steampunk enthusiast who thought, hey, I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to become a vendor. I'm going to do this professionally, because that's the other route you go. You don't want to just run a little local nonprofit steampunk club for your local community. You're like, no, I want to get a table and make leather cuffs and sell top hats, and I want to be the Airship so-and-so, and I sell custom-made props and stuff. Well,
Go for it.
go for it.
Hopefully, go to a bunch of conventions first, see what there is, see how people are doing it, ask questions. We will tell you how to do it.
We will.
We don't have a problem now having multiple leather people at this, multiple leather vendors at the same convention. Mainly because
They each have their own style.
they have their own style. I mean, you'll have like, what is sad though, is when you come to a new convention and there's 3 vendors that are just starting out and they all have the same stuff. That is pretty sad because one will make all the money that weekend.
But that's up to the conventions to
Yeah.
vet their rooms. Like the conventions have got to vet their vendors. They've got to have a bit of responsibility in making sure they don't book guys that overlap each other on products. But you do need to, like, if you are going to become a professional vendor, if you want to sell stuff on the convention circuit, if that's going to be your next thing, I'm going to sell steampunk stuff. Yeah, I don't care if you're going to vend anything. If you're going to vend any type of product on the convention circuit, you need to go find some guy who is selling what you want to sell or close to what you want to sell. And you need to volunteer to work his table for 1 year. And you need to work with that guy for 1 year before you launch your own table. Do not just go buy a folding table, a banner from Vistaprint, some cards, and a dream. Do not do this.
We've already done that.
We see so many people. It's really sad. You know what? I love the Artist Alley guys. I really do. I love seeing new vendors come out. But gosh, it's really hard on you when they don't do any apprenticeship. They don't come out and do any on-the-job training. They just kind of, I'm going to be the Airship so-and-so, and I'm going to sell steampunk hats and leatherworking, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And by the way, I don't have any booth help, and it's just me, and I have a tablecloth and a banner I bought from Vistaprint and some business cards. I don't even know what to price my own materials at because I haven't spent any time in the market, so I don't know what competitive pricing is in this environment. And they just come out and just slap crazy prices on things, and that disrupts the market. And then other makers who make the same thing that you're making because you've priced it incorrectly become upset.
Well, hopefully they'll come up to you and explain some things to you.
Hopefully.
Yeah, like
They usually come and complain to me.
Yes.
They do. Like, Jim, did you see that new steampunk person? Their prices are ridiculously low or ridiculously high. That poor person is not going to make a dime. They've overpriced their work, or they've underpriced their work. They're like, well, they'll figure that out. Well, you should go talk to them, Jim. I get that a lot.
Well, now that we've hit the vendor side of things.
There's the vendor side of things. You're going to have to file some paperwork.
Yep.
Okay, you can't just get a table and start selling stuff and collecting cash.
Oh, you got to start paying state taxes too.
Yeah, you got to go down to the county courthouse and file just like you were becoming a hot dog stand or anything else. You got to get a sales tax permit. You have to have articles of incorporation with the state of Texas. And you might need some kind of county permit or county tax, depending on what you're selling. I know the T-Punk guys out of Austin, they have to like read a couple extra books of information because some of the places they go, they're selling food, even though they're selling dried tea in tins. But that's a great example, the T-Punk guys. There's the guys who decided to go to the next level, and they looked around and they said, you know what? Specialty tea vendors is actually a good market. Like, people buy custom local teas anyway. And there's a great niche for it in steampunk, and other people will buy it because everybody likes tea.
Now, what I haven't seen yet is a specialty coffee booth.
A specialty coffee booth, I haven't seen that crop up yet. It is a little
that's
harder. If it was you know what? If it was a wagon,
fantastic.
if it was a wagon with like big brass boilers for the coffee,
Just walk that into the hotel.
and so yeah, instead of like selling bags of grounds, just have like 6 exotic blends that you make just for that weekend at the convention. Because you're gonna tell me that you bring that beautiful smelling coffee cart right into the middle of the convention floor with 5,000 con kids, and like a little machine that hisses and makes, works by a guy in a top hat with a curly mustache and a big white apron. Come and get your coffee, children.
It'd be just the same like having a popcorn.
It'd be like
machine.
selling crack cocaine. That's what it would be.
Wait a minute, those parts are from the boiler.
Those coffees would be gone so fast.
See, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea. Somebody make this happen.
I mean,
There's the one thing I will say this is when you do decide to do something professionally, whether it's making lemonade or making necklaces or making card games or making music as an entertainer, and that's another bailiwick. We'll get to that in a minute. Making a subscription service, whatever it is that you're hawking and selling in the convention circuit. The one thing, the advantage that Steampunk does give you is if you take this as your avenue and this is your niche to get out on the floor, Steampunk is so theatric and is so dramatic. It has so many wonderful vehicles, from like mad science to the airship thing to all the ties to popular fiction and gothic fiction.
And apparently even our lighting in this room, at least on the camera here.
Well, look at us on the camera, man. Yeah, we look like
lighting here.
wow. We look like we're in an Edgar Allan Poe special on PBS. This is terribly lit. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, internet people. But now I will say this on the entertainers thing, because we get 2 types of entertainers in Steampunk. We get the musicians. Yeah, we get musicians. We get the bands, of course, because it's really popular. Because it's very artsy fartsy, so it's very popular with musicians. David Bowie likes steampunk. Okay, duh. Prince loves steampunk. Yeah, duh. And we have. There he is. Hey, Governor. But.
And you have.
But we also have a healthy. I wouldn't call. They're not all freaks.
No.
Some of them are just acrobats.
We do have acrobats. We do have freak shows. We do have magicians.
Snake oil shows.
That's a good one. That's
Vaudeville? I would almost say like
Snake
vaudeville.
oil.
Would that be a big category for like what for these types of people? Because we have a lot of it is old timey.
Circus, like old school circus.
Yeah,
that's
and
really
old
how it
school
goes.
like Atlantic
With
City
chainsaws now.
Atlantic City freak show. Like guys laying on nails and like
Glass
chicks,
eaters.
glass eaters, and guys who can like chew up like light bulbs. A guy who
Chainsaw,
carves
apples.
apples in his mouth with a chainsaw.
Very steampunk.
I don't know what to call that.
It's its own style of show now.
But he does it while wearing a fabulous circus. He wears it while wearing a fabulous kit, and all of their banners are hand painted in a steampunk and period style. They paint hand painted Victorian circus banners for their backdrops. They're very super cool. That's definitely in our bailiwick. Those things, okay, if you're going to do something like that, bravo. Get ready to research. You're going to Google like nobody's ever Googled before, because Lord knows how many permits and insurances and special licenses and then insurance for the license on the permit for the insurance of the permit.
If you do that, vet your people heavily.
Vet your people heavily. Everybody's got to go through a strict training regimen.
If one person messes things up, if there's sexual harassment or anything like that, and
Everybody's got to be super clean in that
your
thing.
whole area gets affected.
Yeah.
And your whole business gets affected by that one person.
You got to, when you do that, performers have to be super, super tight. Like, and that even goes for the bands. That's not just the physical performers, the bands too. Like, you just can't have like a member of the band that causes you problems on the circuit, like a drummer or a bassist or something that's like causes everybody.
We're even an actor for the videos.
Yeah.
The small mini videos that they're starting to really pop up again.
Yeah. You gotta be like kind of careful if you're on the entertainment end of things, because everything's your brand.
Yeah.
And that stuff, performers and stuff, they have so many additional insurance and permit requirements. You really need to do a lot of research. Like one of the first things I tell people, like I've met guys who are like garage bands that are just like playing friends parties and stuff, and they're like, we're thinking we're gonna go to the next level and start like taking bookings and like getting paid to play. And my first advice to all of them is like, well, I think you guys should go retain a lawyer.
Yes.
I feel like you should go find a business attorney. Like, what? It's like,
All of you need your own attorney,
Yeah.
and the band needs their own attorney.
The band needs
That's
like, go get the band an attorney, then you're gonna draw up a contract for your band right now before you ever play a single gig or take a single dime for money. It needs to be the same way if you launch yourself as a professional vendor. You're gonna sell hats and goggles, etc. You need to make sure that you have the proper sales tax permit and you're incorporated with the state of Texas. And
make sure that everyone that's at your table that's selling anything on that table have a clear idea of what is going on. Basically, a simple contract. You don't have to have a lawyer or anything present. Just saying, this is how we're going to do things. This is how the money's going to be cut. What's going to be paid off first before we even get revenue, and everyone sign it. And everyone gets a copy.
This is how we.
Everyone's just clear on what the rules are, because we've already had groups that just fall apart because there's money involved now, and the whole dynamic changes.
It does change. When you go from being a group of friends that just do steampunk for fun to becoming a group of friends that do steampunk for profit, money changes the whole situation, changes the situation of any human. So if everything's spelled out and it is clear cut and people are straight up with each other, then you don't have problems. But somebody, I think it was Franco, somebody said something like, oh, I said there is no National Steampunk Association. Somebody in the room said that there aren't even like guilds. And I would say there's not, we don't have like what I would call guilds, but we do have what we would like call cooperatives. Like groups of steampunk vendors that work together cooperatively in storyline, in character, in service. We don't step on each other's product lines.
We really do our best not to.
We do our best not to try to sell the if we had a cool hat person, and we have hat people that flow in and out in the area, but we don't have like one consistent like steady hat vendor like doing our style of hats. If we had somebody doing that we could like, then the rest of us would just get out of hats and be like, thank God there's a like dedicated hat person. And be like,
got the dedicated leather,
here's
dedicated
the
other guy leather, the associate leather.
I will say this, leather gauntlets, and that one thing is the one area where there's lots of room, because there's so much variety desired in that market. There's so much personalization that people want with their steampunk armor. It has to look their way. And 50% of that field anyway is commission. Like half the people who put out leather at conventions are just looking for a vehicle to draw the eye, so people are saying, hey, if I gave you a couple $100, would you make X, Y, Z for me? And the artist on the other side of the table says, yes. Because if that happens 4 or 5 times this weekend, then that artist has had a great weekend, even if they never sold a single thing while they were sitting here. It was worth their time and money to come set up a table and show off their work, sell a couple of pieces, and then pull in like, 9 commissions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. And that, by the way, that's a whole other banana too, is if you're going to become a professional vendor and you're going to sell any fandom item professionally, handmade, are you going to take commissions? Are you going to take specialty orders? And if you are there other special licenses and permits, and are there certain taxes and sales issues that arise from that? So you have to research all of that with the state.
So basically what we're saying is that if you're going to make an airship for profit, do your research, talk to us, talk to people, do your, before you just jump into it.
Yeah.
Because we've had too many people have issues.
We've had too many people just get a table and a banner and go.
But if you're doing it for fun, there's a lot of ways you can go about it.
Yeah.
If you want to do a non-profit, you can do that. If you just want to have a group of people get together and make a story, we do that. That's actually what really starts most of them.
Most of them are just a group of friends that all ride together at the con.
At the con, and make it up as they go.
Yeah.
If they're going to be steampunk this year and they're in the car, usually the person driving becomes the captain or the pilot. Then you have the person with the map becomes the navigator, and then you got the guy in the back who is the one handing out the food or whatever, and you have like the guy who's like, I'll just be the mechanic because I know how to fix things, and it just all kind of rolls up, and you get here and you're there, and then everything's kind of like bright stars and wonderful, and you run into other steampunks, and then you get to be oohed and awed by their gear, and then you really talk to us, and that's where it really becomes fun. And if you want to make it all, what's the right word for it? I guess not really legal, but more or less real. You go to talk to you, and you give them the airship forms, which they sign, which makes them a legal airship.
So recognized. We'll actually commission you as an airship in the skies over Texas. Like we have airship commissioning papers for new airships. Because we have fun groups that launch all the time. We have what I call station wagon groups. That you get started in Steampunk. And we run into these guys all the time, and they're my favorites.
Last year we made one.
Yeah, we did. We made one right at this convention. We made a new airship.
They started in the LARP, actually.
Yeah, they started at the live action game and got commissioned on Sunday. There's so much stuff like that. One thing I do is encourage people is that people who want to try to sell this stuff or sell anything in fandom. It doesn't, not just steampunk, but any fandom. He was selling Star Wars. What you have to look out for is that we are in a downtrend in the market. The convention market is in a downtrend. I've been doing this a long, long time. I've been doing this almost 2 decades of my life, and so I've been at it long enough to watch sales and revenues and conventions. And the way it's waved out for the last few years. And it's on about a 5-year cycle, and we're in the downtrend of that cycle right now. And so I've watched a lot of people who've married and a lot of people who work the convention circuit in concessions and in chairs and tables and in tablecloths and people who are in that business. And they've all seen downtrends in their revenue too. So whatever is going on with the American convention attending public, more of them are staying at home, and when they do come out, they're spending less of their dollars. Even when attendance is high, people are spending less. They're not getting the bonus packages. They're not getting the big signature package deals. They're getting the basic tickets. They're meeting up with their friends. They're cruising the vendor hall. They're going to a few panels. They're seeing the guest star and getting maybe one signature, and then they're going home after not buying a lot, if anything, in the vendor hall. And that's simply, I think, a reflection of the times. Americans are a lot more cautious with how they spend their money. And I think we all have to be realistic about that. That I think we've all kind of a nasty recession and a sluggish recovery has made us all a little bit more, we're all being a little bit more picky about how we spend our entertainment dollars. And that's going to affect the convention market. The convention market's not immune to the rest of the economy. So,
I wish it was.
I really wish it was.
I gotta find new clients.
It would make our lives a lot easier if it was. I think you'll see an upswing in the industry sometime in the next 5 to 7 years. Yeah. There is a really hard saturation, especially here in Texas. Who is from here in Texas? Show of hands. Yeah, we have got a lot of conventions. All-Con, I have nothing against All-Con. All-Con's kind of old man of the mountain. This con's at least 17 years old, and it's been ran by locals since day one. But there's some stuff little bitty counties out in the middle of nowhere holding a Comic-Con.
Amarillo.
Yeah, Laredo, all the way down to Laredo on the Rio Grande River, Brownsville, all the way down on the border.
One place that doesn't have one right now is Boston. We got little associations that.
Yeah, that's not crazy with all these little shows popping up that are doing little Comic-Cons that there really is no real Austin.
There's one that's trying to grow. It's at the Ghost Town now. It was actually really fun. But it's not going to be this big type of thing. It's I know I say that funny. That's kind of not this big, but it's a good little thing to get together and go see. And if you're in the area, it's not going to be expensive because there's no major hotel that's going to be holding it. You can book at the local Holiday Inn.
So, despite being big conventions everywhere in Texas, so to speak, does it require you to be more picky of where to go, which convention to go to?
You mean as vendors, in doing what we do? How do we pick what we book in Texas? Because there is a wealth of possibilities in Texas.
There are. That's kind of what makes us have to pick and choose of which ones do we know we're going to go to, which ones that our friends are going to, because that's a bonus. some people don't have good ties with other people, so there's some politics involved.
That's where your coalition comes in.
Yeah.
Like that's where if you know other vendors and you have connections with the event to begin with, well, that's the direction you're going to flow because everybody wants to work in an environment that they're comfortable around people they're comfortable with. So there are certain vendors that I really like to work with. Like I can do panels with them, and like I can work their table for me, and they can work my table for me because I have to go to the bathroom eventually.
Or eat.
Or eat. Yeah, I do eat.
That's your business.
That eat thing, shady. The other thing is what kind of package you're going to get. Guest compensation and panelist compensation has gone way, way, way down. Back in the day, content providers, like guys that do what we do and provide like, 10, 15 panels in a weekend, we would get like gasoline money and we get meals and things like that provided. And all that's gone away. Like content providers are almost down. A lot of cons are running their content on pure volunteer muscle. Like they're calling up, instead of bringing in like professional speakers and guys that like do this 8-9 times a year,
Getting Joe downstairs.
they're getting like, hey, my brother-in-law Frank, he really likes Wild Wild West, and he owns one of them crazy hats. He can do the steampunk track at the old, Bell County Comic-Con.
And then they book us as vendors.
Bell
And
County
we
Comic-Con. And
I realize this is going on the internet, right?
no, it is good. There's too many little Comic-Cons in Texas. It drives me crazy.
Well, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen is they're going to oversaturate, and those that do well are going to do really well, and those that do poorly are going to go away.
So do you see an eventual consolidation of events?
I see that. All of the major metropolitan centers in Texas are going to keep one mighty big con, at least one. Dallas will have at least two. You will always have All-Con. You will always have this convention. Why? Because this is the community-ran convention. The community-ran convention is not on a profit model, unlike things like Wizard World and Dallas Comic-Con and Fan Expo. Those are for-profit companies. They are on a profit model. All-Con is on an enjoyment model. All-Con is a bunch of nerds got together and wanted to have a convention. Okay? And every once in a while they can come up with enough money to get a semi-cool guest. These are my favorite, by the way. I love the community-ran shows. I hate Wizard World. I do. They never book me. I don't care if they see this on the I do
Don't
not.
ruin my chances.
Goodbye, Shane.
Book this guy, not me. I'm a jerk. He's fantastic.
Just kind of funny,
But I actually, and I got to MC the costume contest on Friday night. I love the small community aspect of it. I love the homemade feel of it. I love the everybody like helping each other find coffee on Friday morning. Like complete strangers were giving other complete strangers coffee instructions in the elevator on the way through this convention. I love these cons. I love the community ran cons with the locals and the small community where you can actually meet everybody over the course of a few days at the con. All con is one of my favorites. We'll always do this one.
I guess we get back to actually.
But the conventions are important. Like,
Detour.
Yeah, sorry we detoured. You asked about the consolidations. This one will stick. One of the anime cons will stick, either Anime Fest or A-Con. Who it shall be, we shall see. There'll always be a con in Houston. Doesn't look like Star City's coming back, so there's one consolidation of market right there. As he said, Austin, market in flux, but something eventually will crop up. Until then, they can also feed into the San Antonio convention market, which is very strong. It has like 2 or 3 competitors right now. But it's competitive. People ask me about the market. It's competitive. The conventions are legitimately competing with each other in a strange market with only so many resources. There's only so many convention dollars to go around. Some are going to succeed, and some are going to fail. Here comes those market forces people like to talk about. Guys like us all hang on, and we have to kind of roll the dice when we look.
Yeah.
Are we going with the show that's going to win? Are we going with the show that's actually going to get a lot of people, so we're going to get a lot of traffic, and I mean, people are going to come to our table and buy our stuff. People are going to come to our panels and listen to our nonsense. And that's what it is. And
it's good nonsense.
It's good nonsense. It's high quality nonsense. It's worth a hotel room and 2 booth spaces.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions about making an airship? Because we've kind of gotten off track.
We have gotten off track, but it was a good question about the convention scene. That is one of the things you can do to take steampunk to the next level, is to plan an event.
Yes.
You don't have to become a business. You don't have to start a nonprofit. You can become an event host, because steampunks are very event centric. We like one-off events. We don't care.
You do.
Whether we like them or not, we like them. Stop it. We like them a lot. We love one-off events. We think they're fun. We don't mind if they never come back again.
Well, I mean, we'd like them to work again, but one-off it's going to be spectacular. Going to be spectacular once. It'll always be in our minds.
Yeah. So
always
if you want to do
everything else to it.
In other words, if your boss or your boss's sister or your boss's grandma or somebody walks into work one day and says, "Gosh, they just renovated the old grist mill over on the other side of town, and now it's a performing arts center, but we can't get anybody to go in there and use it. Boy, we'd give somebody that place for the weekend for free if they just do something in there. And this building is from like 1855. You need to call me immediately."
And we will book music.
We will book vendors. We'll have music we'll have music and vendors and entertainers and a guy who spins fire within 48 hours. We'll call every steam and be like, "They're going to give us a building from 1855 for the whole weekend. And they're going to take pictures for the newspaper." And then they'll never book us again, because once we come in and do something and it's really super cool and the public likes it and lots of people come out and look at it.
Now they want the money.
Then the city is usually like, "Wasn't that so much fun? You steampunk people should give us thousands of dollars to use that location again." And we're like, "Well, that was lovely."
That's what happens every time.
We'll be looking for the next free guy. Nice working with you guys.
Yeah, I'm still holding out for Battleship Texas.
I am too. I desperately want to do something on the Dreadnought down in Houston. The steampunks in Houston would love to do an event on the deck of the USS Texas, the last dreadnought ever built by the United States Navy. And it was a steam dreadnought when it began, but then it converted to diesel, so it's steampunk and dieselpunk. Booyah! It would be a great event, but every time we get close to getting it done, the old girl kind of starts to tilt, and they've got to do some repairs on her.
That's because they had to replace the mooring clamps.
Yeah, that was not good. That took several millions of dollars of like a special act of the Texas legislature. Thank goodness they passed it. Or our beloved battleship would have rolled over on her side in the middle of the San Jacinto battlefield.
And we would have left it there.
But if things can be worked out, yes, we are in proper alignment to possibly have a big steampunk event on the deck of the battleship Texas there at San Jacinto Bay in the Houston Metroplex. But Houston has its own convention problems, and its own event problems. For one problem, I don't think people realize how big Houston is. It's enormous. It's way bigger than the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It's 4 counties. To drive from where I live in I live in Conroe, which is a suburb on the north side of the Houston Metroplex. It's considered part of the Metroplex. But I can be in Houston in like 5 minutes. Okay. But it takes me an hour and 45 minutes to go to the island. And all of that, from me, driving an hour and 45 minutes, around 65 miles an hour, give or take with traffic. It takes me an hour and 45 minutes, and it's all town. There are no trees. There is no like big spaces of nothing. It is all cityscape. From where I leave in North Houston, all the way to the ocean of the continent, it is nothing but buildings. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And at any moment, any one of those jerks can drive his 4-wheel contraption into another 4-wheel contraption and start a 9-hour pileup in the heart of Houston. And that is why it is really hard to get people from around Houston of any type, anime fans, comic book fans. People always ask me why the shows in Houston shrunk. It's hard when you got a big metroplex like that to get people to cross something like that. On a good day, when there is no traffic, it will take us an hour and a half to drive to the other side of the city. And that's if there isn't a traffic problem. And there's going to be a traffic problem because it's Houston.
Do you think it sounds like between I-10, 610, and
There's always an issue on one of those roads. Always.
35. Cough, cough.
35, yeah, man. You guys at 35 and it's so turned up. Lord, what are you guys down to 1 lane now?
No, it's 2, but it
Our
still
beloved
takes
government
2.5
decided
hours.
to just, let's
Yeah.
destroy it.
Anyway,
Oh.
back on track. Man.
Back on
More
track.
coffee, more coffee.
More coffee. You know what? Transport's actually part of it, whatever you're going to do. One of the things I've always told guys that want to do something cool for Steampunk, they're like, I want to do something cool for Steampunk, but I don't want to get bogged down running a club that's going to last for like 5 or 6 years. I just want to do like one cool thing. Gosh, you are an event guy. Do an event. Like, find us the cool building in your little town, Texas, and like then call us in and be like, hey man, there's a historic opera house in Pumpkin Square, Texas. It's like such and such many miles off the interstate.
And we show up. They show it to us.
And we'll be
and
like,
we're looking at it going, wouldn't you like to see Marquee?
we can put the band right here.
Any band.
We can we'll put vendors down both sides, and then everybody can just stand out in the middle and dance and buy stuff from the vendors.
The ball. The Steampunk ball
Steampunk.
in the Aviation Museum.
In the Aviation Museum. That thing was amazing.
Which aviation?
The one at Love Field.
Oh yeah.
That big, huge, it has all the cool experimental airplanes in it.
And the B-17. And
Yeah, it's like it's the weird airplane that's like looks like a disc. It has like lots of wooden craft. It has like steampunky looking airplanes in it. And they set up a stage and had the Marquis of Vaudeville and the steam-powered giraffes like perform in front of a crowd of like 3,000 steampunks, all in their best, like dressed to the nines.
Ballroom
Ladies in ballroom gowns, men in top hats and cravats and silks. They all look stunning. And they brought in the 2 hottest acts at the time and had like 3,000 people there. We blew the doors off the place.
Yeah.
It was such an amazing concert. I was sick. I had 102 fever and I went anyway. I was not going to miss it. I was not going to freaking miss it. It was so cool. There are pictures of me at that concert and they're like, wow, your costume must have been really hot. No. I was like deathly ill. I wasn't going to miss this concert. And I really wanted to see the airplanes. Like they brought out the special experimental airplanes. I was like, they don't have those out all the time. I have to go. Such a big nerd.
Any questions?
Any questions? Do an event. If you want to do just one thing, do an event.
What about the Texas Renaissance Festival?
Yeah, we do what's called we do invasion weekends where we basically organize a whole bunch of steampunks get together and meet up in the parking lot, and we all go walk the fair together. And we barbecue together. Some of us camp at the fair, but everybody basically does steampunk weekend where they wear their cool steampunk stuff for one of the weekends at the fair, given that the fairs in Texas
Allow it.
are like Roman drinking festivals and go on for weeks and weeks without it. Man, we have a medieval fair up in Oklahoma lasts for like 1 week. You guys got a medieval fair down here lasts 1/3 of the year.
And the other one's like, what, 6 weeks?
I know, I think it's easier to find the months in Texas that don't have a med fair going on than to find the ones that
Renaissance Fair. No, it's just there is one. There's one in Austin. That's Sherwood.
Sherwood's only
It's Sherwood, Scarby, and TRF are like you stack all those together. You're stuck. What do you have? Like maybe 3 months of the year that don't have fair.
January,
And maybe
February,
4.
March,
Maybe
March.
4. Good Lord, Texas, y'all are so spoiled.
We really
Other
like our nights in
other
Chicago.
states have 1 weekend of medieval fair. They have 3 days. You guys are spoiled. You have like 9 months of medieval fair.
See, what I'm waiting for is Steampunk November to become at least
Our fair, we do have our own fair. We do, by the way, if you want to go to the next level and you want to network, and also come to just a jammin' ass steampunk festival. You can come to Steampunk November in Mansfield every November.
Yeah.
It's the second weekend of November. It is kind of the Texas Steampunk Festival, and I cannot recommend it enough. They have like 8 stages, all with their own bands performing simultaneously. If we haven't made that clear, music is really big in steampunk. Really big. Yes, Scott?
Since the Steampunk November, they've turned it aside. Has anyone thought about renting it from them and doing a spring event?
That would be terrible. That would be so much work. Oh my lord. It's hard enough having one steampunk festival a year, and they want that one to go longer. Like they want Steampunk November to grow from being a weekend festival. What did Shane tell us? He
wants at least 3 weeks.
He'd like a 3-week steampunk.
And honestly, the way he wants us to do it, he wants us to buy booth areas and then build stuff there. However we want, as long as he's okay with it.
Yeah,
and then we can have our business down on the bottom floor, and we live in the top floor.
They're actually trying to follow the Scarby model. Like they want people to come out and buy plots on the grounds and build cool steampunk buildings to run their booths out of.
Yeah.
Which some people are doing. Like Kat's got a beautiful booth.
Yeah.
Like Catherine's booth is like super nice.
And we're even looking at it for a few years.
Yeah, we've been looking at it a little bit now. We've been looking at
a building.
We want a building. They're like, well, you can just convert one of these booths. They're like, I don't want one of your stinky booths. I want a building. We're going to do this. Let's do it. I'm a steampunk.
We want a real solution.
I want a building.
Yeah. We need to
Is it almost 1 p.m.?
Oh, wow.
Is it almost 1? Okay, do we have any questions about like stepping up to next level steampunk, what your options are? You can run an event. You can start a community club. You can just roll with a crew of friends. You can become a performer. You can start a booth and start vending items. And all of these have varying degrees of research and varying degrees of licenses and permits that you'll need to consider if you want to do them. But all of them are valid, and we can point you in the right direction on all of these, and we can give a panel on all of these. Realistically, there's so many details. So please, if you're considering doing such a thing, you need, and that includes our friends watching online, get in touch with us and let us know your questions about being a professional, a making money off of steampunk or making money off of any fan genre, and doing the circuit on a professional basis. And we'll talk to you more intimately one-on-one about the ins and outs of what your idea is and what product you want to offer on the convention circuit as a vendor. That's our wrap. That's our time.
Questions?
Any questions? No? All right. Thanks for coming, guys.